The garden was serene, filled with the soft rustling of leaves. The Buddha sat under the shade of a mango tree. He gazed at a tiny seed resting in his palm. A disciple approached, carrying a look of curiosity and longing. "Master, why do our hearts ache with desires unfulfilled?" the disciple asked, kneeling humbly before the Buddha. The Buddha gently placed the seed onto the fertile soil beside him. "Watch this seed closely," he said. The disciple leaned closer, observing the quiet simplicity of the seed. "It is so small, yet it holds promise." The Buddha nodded and smiled. "Yes. But what would happen if you forced this seed to grow today?" The disciple frowned, considering the question carefully. "If I force it, it would break and die." "Master." The Buddha took a deep breath, his voice soft but unwavering. "Our desires are like this seed, fragile yet full of potential." He gestured towards the seed. "Do not force it." There I saw a farmer struggling to plant seeds in rocky soil. He paused, his eyes reflecting the memory. "Master, how does one practice patience?" The Buddha picked up a handful of soil, letting it fall slowly through his fingers. "Patience means trusting the natural rhythm of life." He continued, "Do you see the mango tree above us? It once was a seed, like the one you see." The disciple looked upward, captivated by the towering tree's beauty. "Master, did it grow simply by waiting?" The Buddha chuckled softly. "Not simply waiting. It grew by flowing with nature. No resistance, no force, only alignment." "Master, what of those who cannot wait? Who crave quick answers?" the disciple asked, his tone tinged with urgency. The Buddha smiled, his eyes twinkling with compassion. "Impatience is born from fear, the fear of emptiness and uncertainty." He paused briefly, letting the disciple absorb his words. Then, he added, "Impatience is resistance. It is the opposite of flowing." "Master," the disciple whispered, "how do we know when desires become harmful?" The Buddha picked up the seed once more. "When desires rob you of peace, they are no longer seeds, but thorns." He placed the seed back in the soil, pressing it gently. "When desires are guided by patience, they blossom into wisdom." The disciple closed his eyes, searching his heart. "Master, my heart holds many seeds, both of joy and sorrow. How do I cultivate wisely?" The Buddha touched the disciple's hand, his voice firm yet tender. "Cultivation begins with understanding. Know your seeds before you water them," he continued. "Do not suppress desires, nor indulge them blindly. Observe them as you would this seed." The disciple tilted his head, intrigued but uncertain. "Master, is observation enough to dissolve suffering?" The Buddha shook his head slightly. "Observation is the beginning. Patience transforms observation into clarity, and clarity into peace." The disciple opened his eyes, his gaze steady and reflective. "Master, can peace truly be reached without effort?" The Buddha smiled warmly, his voice steady as the earth itself. "Effort without force is the essence of patience." He gestured towards the mango tree once again. "The effort of nature grows this tree, but not through resistance." The disciple bowed deeply, feeling the weight of the teachings. "Master, I still fear failure when striving for patience." The Buddha's tone softened, a melody of wisdom in his words. "Failure is not the end. It is a teacher disguised." He leaned closer to the disciple. "Flowing with patience means embracing failures as lessons, not burdens." The disciple's breath steadied, his voice no longer wavering. "Master, can we truly transform suffering with patience alone?" The Buddha glanced at the soil-covered seed. "Patience is the catalyst, but transformation is aided by understanding and compassion." He added, "The tree feeds the earth as the earth feeds the tree. This is harmony." The disciple nodded, feeling a spark of hope within. "Master, is harmony possible for everyone?" are only the wise. The Buddha spread his hands toward the heavens. Harmony is universal. It is not reserved for the wise, but accessible to all. The disciple gazed deeply at the seed. Master, how will I know when I am practicing patience correctly? The Buddha's lips curved into a knowing smile. When your heart feels steady amidst uncertainty, then you are flowing with patience. He rose slowly, his movements graceful like the wind. This seed will teach you more than my words ever can. The disciple watched the Buddha walk toward the mango tree, his robes fluttering in the breeze. Master, shall I return to observe the seed tomorrow? The Buddha's voice drifted through the garden. Return not to the seed alone, but to the garden within yourself. The disciple remained by the mango tree, contemplating the soil, the seed, and the wisdom shared. He felt a quiet shift within. As the sun set and shadows stretched long across the earth, the disciple whispered softly, Master, I will learn to flow. Another day, another journey. The Buddha and his disciples reached the banks of a wide, glistening river. The sun hung low, casting golden streaks over the rippling waters. A ferryman named Purna greeted them with a warm smile, his wooden boat bobbing gently against the current. The Buddha stepped into the boat, his movements as fluid as the river itself. The disciples followed, their sandals brushing against the wooden planks. As the boat pushed off, silence enveloped them, broken only by the rhythmic splash of the oars. Purna, rowing steadily, spoke with a curious tone. Master, this river flows without rest. Does it never tire of its endless journey? The Buddha gazed at the water, his eyes as calm as its surface. The river flows because it does not resist its path. A disciple seated beside him, named Subhuti, asked softly, Master, what does it mean to not resist? The Buddha pointed to the current. Resistance is the stone that diverts water. Non-resistance is the flow that finds its way. Purna paused his rowing briefly. Master, do you mean the river's course is predetermined? The Buddha smiled faintly. Not predetermined, but guided by its nature. It flows not to defy, but to fulfill. Another disciple, Kunda, leaned forward, his brows furrowed. Master, how do we apply this wisdom to our lives? The Buddha gestured toward the far shore, cloaked in mist. Our lives are like this river, vast and unpredictable, he continued. When we force ourselves against obstacles, we create suffering. When we flow, we harmonize with life's rhythm. Subhuti spoke again, his voice tinged with uncertainty. But, Master, does flowing not mean surrendering to fate? The Buddha shook his head gently. To flow is not surrender, but understanding. It is choosing peace over struggle. Kunda pondered deeply, then asked, Master, what if the current leads us to harm? Should we still follow it? The Buddha lifted his gaze to the horizon. Wisdom is the oar that guides the boat. Flowing does not mean abandoning discernment. Purna, listening intently, interjected, Master, I have seen storms turn rivers wild and destructive. How do we flow through such chaos? The Buddha's voice softened, carrying the weight of compassion. Chaos is temporary, like a storm cloud passing. The river remains. He added, in chaos, patience becomes your anchor. Do not fight the storm, but outlast it with stillness. Subhuti clasped his hands together, his tone growing hopeful. Master, does this mean patience and flowing are intertwined? The Buddha nodded, his gaze steady and serene. Patience is the strength of the river. Flowing is its wisdom. Kunda touched the edge of the boat, watching ripples form. Master, how do we practice flowing in the midst of daily struggles? The Buddha lifted his hand and let it rest over the boat's edge. Feeling the cool water, begin by listening, he explained. The river listens to its surroundings. The stones, the wind, the rain. To flow, first listen to your life. The disciples exchanged glances. Absorbing the depth of the teaching, Purna resumed rowing, his strokes calm yet deliberate. A light breeze danced over the water, carrying the scent of earth and leaves. Kunda asked, "Master, is listening truly enough?" The Buddha replied, "Listening invites understanding. Understanding transforms resistance into peace, and peace into flow." Subhuti smiled faintly, his earlier doubt easing. "Master, does flowing mean abandoning control completely?" The Buddha turned to him, his expression warm. "Flowing is not the absence of control, but the mastery of choice," he continued. "Like the ferryman guiding this boat, you steer with purpose while allowing the river to carry you." Purna chuckled softly, his rowing steady. "Master, I see now. The river and the oar work together, neither dominating the other." The Buddha inclined his head, affirming the ferryman's insight. Balance is the essence of flowing. It is harmony in action. The boat neared the opposite shore, the mist lifting to reveal a lush, tranquil landscape. The disciples felt a sense of calm. Subhuti spoke, his tone more resolute. "Master, if we flow, will we always reach peace?" The Buddha's gaze lingered on the shore. Peace is not a destination but a state of being. Flowing reveals it within. Kunda added, "Master, is this why the river never stops flowing? Because it holds peace within?" The Buddha smiled, the light of understanding in his eyes. "Indeed, the river flows because it is at peace with its journey." As the boat touched the shore, Purna anchored it gently, bowing deeply to the Buddha. "Thank you, Master, for this wisdom." The Buddha stepped onto the shore, turning to his disciples. "Remember, the river's lesson is life's wisdom flow without force." The disciples followed the Buddha, their hearts lighter, their minds clearer. The river's gentle current whispered truths they carried forward, under the open sky. The journey continued, not as resistance but as flowing, each step a rhythm of harmony and grace. Another day, another forest. The Buddha and his disciples walked under the canopy of towering trees. The air was heavy with the scent of earth and rain. The group came upon a massive tree, its trunk splintered and cracked. Lying across the path, the Buddha paused, observing the fallen tree silently for a moment. "This tree has endured many storms but could not bend," he said. A disciple named Ananda stepped closer, his expression a mix of awe and sadness. "Master, why did this mighty tree fall?" The Buddha touched the broken bark with his fingertips. Its strength was its rigidity. It refused to yield, and so it broke. Another disciple, named Sariputta, glanced at the surrounding forest. "Master, many trees have survived. What made this one different?" The Buddha gestured toward a patch of swaying bamboo nearby. "Observe the bamboo, how it bends and rises with the wind." Ananda tilted his head, watching the bamboo dance in the breeze. "Master, does bending mean weakness?" The Buddha turned, his gaze soft yet penetrating. "Not weakness, but adaptability. To bend is to endure, to rise again after the storm." Sariputta knelt beside the tree, his voice tinged with curiosity. "Master, does this mean strength is a flaw?" The Buddha smiled gently. "Strength without flexibility becomes brittle. True strength lies in harmony, in flowing with life's challenges." Ananda asked, "Master, how can we learn to bend without breaking in our own lives?" The Buddha walked toward the bamboo, running his hand along its smooth surface. "Begin by understanding the nature of resistance," he continued. "Resistance is born from fear. Fear of losing, fear of change, fear of the unknown." Sariputta nodded thoughtfully. "Master, how do we overcome this fear?" The Buddha turned back to the group, his eyes filled with compassion. "Fear dissolves with understanding and trust in life's impermanence," he added. "To bend is not to surrender, but to embrace change with courage and wisdom." Ananda pressed his palms together. "Master, Is it possible to find peace while bending to life's storms? The Buddha's voice was calm, like a flowing river. Peace is the root that steadies you, no matter how the wind blows. Sariputta gazed at the sky. Clouds drifting lazily above. Master, does bending mean we must accept everything, even injustice? The Buddha's tone grew firm yet kind. To bend does not mean to accept harm. It means to respond with wisdom, not force. He walked back to the fallen tree, placing a hand on its cracked trunk. This tree resisted, and its resistance became its downfall. Ananda asked, Master, how do we know when to bend and when to stand firm? The Buddha gestured toward the bamboo swaying behind him. Like the bamboo, stand firm in your roots but flexible in your actions. He continued. Wisdom guides you to balance. Without wisdom, bending becomes yielding, and firmness becomes stubbornness. Sariputta leaned on his staff, his gaze introspective. Master, does this balance come naturally, or must it be cultivated? The Buddha smiled, his expression serene. Balance is cultivated through mindfulness and understanding the interconnectedness of all things. Ananda knelt beside the tree, tracing its broken branches. Master, can this tree still serve a purpose, even in its fall? The Buddha's eyes softened. Its fall nourishes the earth, feeding new life. Even in breaking, there is meaning and renewal. He added, life's lessons come in cycles. In growth, in fall, and in rebirth. Nothing is ever truly lost. Sariputta's voice carried a note of wonder. Master, does this mean that even suffering has a purpose? The Buddha nodded gently. Suffering, like the fallen tree, teaches us humility and the wisdom of adaptation. Ananda stood, his expression more resolute. Master, can we learn to bend without fearing the storms ahead? The Buddha looked toward the horizon, where the forest met the sky. Fear arises from attachment to certainty. Trust dissolves fear, he added. Trust life's flow, and you will bend without losing your essence. Like the bamboo standing resilient after each storm. The group continued their journey, the forest alive with whispers of wisdom carried on the wind. The fallen tree remained behind. Its lesson, however, traveled with the disciples. Engraved in their hearts, to bend is to grow. To grow is to flow. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.